Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. We could stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Madam Clerk, can we have the roll call, please?
Jamie Girardi.
Here.
Christopher Poole.
Here.
John Moody.
Here.
Matthew Lunds. Derek Conlon.
Present.
Chris Williams.
Here.
Chairman Charles
Something
Gray.
different.
I'm here. And the proof of publication, please.
The items were advertised in the
That was gonna-
Times on November 5th, 2025 and January 7th, 2026, or by affidavit of certified mailings and site postings.
All right, thank you very much. So we have a number of minutes here to approve. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
So we have a motion to approve minutes C1 through C6. Any further discussion on the motion? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. All right, that motion carries. So I'd like to welcome everybody today. We're the Planning Commission, and we meet twice monthly. We're appointed by the Board of County Commissioners. We serve as a local planning agency, and we hold public hearings and transmit to the Board of County Commissioners our recommendations on comprehensive plan amendments, land development code amendments, rezonings, and conditional use amendment requests. Planning Commission is the final decision-making body for special exceptions, certain appeals, variance requests, and certain alternative standard requests. However, final decisions may be appealed to the Board of County Commissioners. If anyone is in opposition to any of the comprehensive plan amendments, land development code amendments, rezonings, or conditional use, or any item where the Planning Commission makes a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners, it's important for you to follow up and attend the Board of County Commission meeting. For those of you who are not familiar with the format of the meeting, we have three sections. We have continuances, consent items, and regular items. So the continuances, it's been our custom to grant and approve a continuance if it's asked for by staff or the applicant for any number of reasons. Then we have consent items. Those items were items that came to us in application, and we have not had any objections from the staff or the public. So those items are on consent. We're going to go through all the items. If there's something on consent that you'd like to have discussed, when I call it out, just raise your hand and we'll be happy to pull it from consent and put it with the regular items. And those are the items or item that will be fully vetted today, and people will have a chance to make a presentation, and the questioners from the audience will have a chance to ask their questions. Applicants will have 5 minutes to make their presentation, and the public will have 3 minutes each to ask questions. Then the applicant will have an opportunity to come back up and try to answer any of those questions. We also have a period before we should get started for anyone who wants to speak on something that's an item and not on today's agenda. Is there anybody signed up to speak for something like that?
Mr. Chair, I have no one signed up to speak for public comment. I would like to note that we do have one individual signed up to speak in opposition for an item. However, they're not present on WebEx today.
Okay. When we come to that item, then we'll just double check. All right, so before we get started, I'm going to do two things. Most of us have phones. If you have a phone, please put it in the silent position so it won't interrupt anybody that might be speaking. And for anyone who plans to give testimony or come up and speak, I'd like you to stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn. If you do that right now. Anybody that plans to speak?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you God?
And when you come up to speak, please first give your full name and your address, so we have it for the record. And please speak into the microphone. Don't face the audience because we can't record you if you're not speaking into the microphone. So I think we're ready to go. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Planning Commission members. Gianna German, Planning Development and Economic Growth. The first item we have on continuance is PC7. It has a companion item PC8. For PC7, you'll be sitting as a local planning agency. It's PDE 260011, a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment in the name of CPAS 2509 SR 52 Heasley PD, providing for a comprehensive plan amendment to future land use maps 2-15 and sheet 12, changing from Res 3, residential 3 dwelling units per gross acre to PD, plan development on approximately 18.98 acres of real property located on the north side of State Road 52, approximately 620 feet west of North Sun Lake Boulevard. And this is coming with the request to continue to February 19th, 2026 at 1:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter, as the same may be heard in Dade City.
For Dade City, you say?
Yes.
Yes, that's our new continuance language that was recently approved.
All right. Continue.
Soon thereafter, may be heard in Dade.
Is the applicant present? Anyone here to object? Okay.
Item P8 is the companion item for PC7, PDE 267666, a zoning amendment in the name of SR 52 Heasley LLC, SR 52 Heasley MPUD Master Plan Unit Development, for a change in zoning from AC Agricultural District to MPUD Master Plan Unit Development to allow for the development of 100 townhomes and 15,000 square feet of commercial office uses on associated infrastructure on approximately 18.98 acres located in west central Pasco County. And this is coming with the request to continue the item to February 19th, 2026 at 1:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter may be heard in Newport Richey.
All right.
And I think I need to make a correction on item PC7. That item is to be heard in Newport Richey.
Okay. Yeah, you said.
Yeah, that's why I asked about that. Okay, great. Okay, so this is a companion item. This is in the same applicants represented by the person. And anyone here to object? No? Okay, go ahead, continue.
Item PC9 also has a companion item PC10, and for PC9 you'll be sitting as a local planning agency. It's PDE 260286, a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment in the name of CPAS 2503 Old Dixie RV Resort PD, providing for a comprehensive plan amendment to future land use maps 2-15 and sheet 03, changing from Res 6, residential 6 dwelling units per gross acre, to PD plan development on approximately 12.56 acres of real property located on the west side of Old Dixie Highway, approximately 0.25 miles south of the intersection of Gulfway and Old Dixie Highway, and a text amendment creating sub-area policy 7.1.87, Old Dixie RV Resort PD, and a map amendment to future land use map 2-9, adding sub-area policy 2-987, Old Dixie RV Resort PD. And this one is coming with the request to continue the item to March 19th, 2026 at 1:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter may be heard in Newport Richey.
Okay, and the applicant present? Anyone here to object? Okay. You're objecting or you're the applicant? That was very tentative, Barbara.
I know, right? If you're asking about me.
Okay, you got your hand up. Okay. Okay.
Item PC10 is PDE 267895, a zoning amendment in the name of Ground Floor Storage LLC / Old Dixie RV Resort MPUD Master Plan Unit Development for a change in zoning from R4 High Density Residential District to MPUD Master Plan Unit Development to allow for the maximum development of 52 RV space resort and associated infrastructure on approximately 12.56 acres located in northwest Pasco County. And this is also coming with a request to continue the item to March 19th, 2026 at 1:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter, the same may be heard in Newport Richey.
Okay, is the applicant present? Anyone here to object? Okay, next.
Item PC11 is the last item on continuance. It's PDE 262112, a variance request in the name of LCP Stone Road LLC to request for reduction of the required minimum open yard requirements of not less than 150 feet to 10 feet for existing buildings and 30 feet for new construction in an I-1 light industrial park district. As required by the LDC Section 528.9.d, I-1 Light Industrial Park District yard regulations on approximately 4.184 acres located in west central Pasco County on Stone Road, approximately 450 feet east from US Highway 19. And this one is coming with the request to continue the item to date uncertain.
Okay. The applicant present. Anyone here to object? Okay, so that's the last continuance.
Yes, sir.
So move to continue PC7 and PC8 to February 19th, PC9 and PC10 to March 19th, and PC11 to date uncertain.
So we have a motion. We have a second. We have a second. Any further discussion of the motion? If not, I'll signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay.
The only item that we have on consent today is PC12. It's PDE 267899, a zoning amendment in the name of Daniel D. Pascal and Kevin Singletary / Massachusetts Avenue to allow for a change in zoning from C1 Neighborhood Commercial District to C2 General Commercial District on approximately 1.03 acres located in West Pasco County at the southwest corner of the intersection of Massachusetts Avenue and Keena Street. And this is coming with the recommendation of approval to the Board of County Commissioners of the requested zoning amendment.
All right, is the applicant present? Anyone here to object?
Mr. Chair, just one quick question.
Yes.
We don't have a proof of publication in our packet for this one. Did we get one to the clerk?
I believe that was just sent to the clerk's office.
Can the clerk confirm they've got a proof on this one? Okay, thank you.
All right. I don't see any objection. So we only have one item on consent. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to continue.
Consent.
Approve consent, sorry. I was still continuing. On
Barbara
and
said,
on,
"What?"
yeah. Motion to approve the consent.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to continue the consent.
That's right.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay.
The last item that we have on the agenda today is P13. It's PDE 26CU09, a conditional use request in the name of Bear Creek Group Home / Elevated Youth Services to allow for the conditional use for residential treatment and care facility in an R4 high-density residential district on approximately 0.16 acres located in the West Market, Pasco County, east of Nature Trail Road, approximately 990 feet south of the intersection of State Road 52 and Nature Trail. And this one is coming with the request to recommend approval to the Board of County Commissioners of the conditional use request with conditions as set forth under the recommended conditions section below. And for this item, I would also like to note that in finding of fact 19, it was originally stated that the subject site is on the west side, and this was updated to reflect east side. An electronic copy of this revision was also provided to the clerk's office.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Is the applicant present? Okay. You're the applicant?
Normally you need to hear from staff first.
Yeah. All right. Staff?
Good afternoon. Brian Junker with Planning Development and Economic Growth.
Thank you.
Today before you, we have a conditional use for Bear Creek Group Home, doing business as Elevated Youth Services. The proposal is a conditional use. Current zoning is an R4, high-density residential district. Future land use is Res 6, Residential 6. The purpose of the project is to increase the number of beds of the existing residential care treatment facility from 6 beds to 10 beds in accordance with the Florida Statute, Chapter 419.001, and pursuant to the Land Development Code, Section 517. The subject site is located west of Nature Trail Road, 990 feet south of the intersection of State Road 52 and Nature Trail. I would like to mention that after staff completed the review, it was mentioned that on finding of facts number 11, there was no code enforcement violation record for the Wesley Chapel location. After further review with the Code Compliance Department, it was found that 4 code enforcement complaints had been reported by the citizens for the Wesley Chapel location, and 1 code enforcement violation reported for the IYS Elevated Use Services located in Nature Trail in State Road 52. All violations reported for both locations were closed out as no code violation observed by the officer at time of inspection. This is a general location of the subject site, which is located in the Embassy District of the West Market area. Here is the context map. In here we have an aerial view of the subject property. The current future land use for the property, which is R4. We got current zoning for the property. On the project overview, the subject site consists of an existing 2,286 square feet of single-family dwelling on approximately 0.16 acres. The source is Pasco County Property Appraiser. The applicant is currently using the dwelling as a 6-bed community residential home pursuant to Florida Statute Chapter 119.001. The conditional use request is to increase the number of beds from 6 to 10 in accordance with the LDC Section 517.3.b. Access to the property is from Nature Trail Road, a county-maintained residential road with approximately 50 feet of right-of-way. On March 3rd, 2022, the Planning Commission approved similar facility for elevated use services located at 26318 Lawrence Avenue, Wesley Chapel, Florida. And here the project comes to you with a recommendation for approval with condition from the Planning, Development, and Economic Growth Department.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Brian, I'm looking at the proof of publication, and the sign for this item looks a little different than our normal signs. Do you have any idea why it looks, and specifically some of the text is cut off? Do you know why that is?
On the sign was actually, when it was actually printed, it was printed by the applicant, and it was found that the correct date and place of the hearing was on the sign.
So how do we normally generate, because I looked at all the other signs that are in our packet. Do we normally produce the signs, or like how do we normally generate signs?
No, we actually don't generate the sign ourselves. The instructions and the template are provided to the applicant, and the applicant is responsible for printing and putting about the sign in their property out of the right-of-way.
So this particular applicant just printed it differently than the other applicants did?
Correct.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out why this one is the only one where the text is sort of cut off on the sign. Is it just because they printed it wrong?
Yes, I think it was printing error.
And in staff's opinion, is the description on the sign sufficient to put the public on notice as to what the application is?
At the moment, when the picture was sent, the correct location, with the correct time and dates were on the sign, and at the moment, the applicant provided and staff received what the applicant provided to us.
Did it have an explanation on the sign of what it was supposed to be changed to?
I mean, it
They were
does say
asking
it's for conditional use for a group home. The problem is I can't tell what text was cut off because it's cut off. So I don't know what was, it appears that it was identifying the location of the parcel, which would sort of be irrelevant for
For the sign?
the sign because
Yeah.
it's on the parcel.
Yeah.
If that's all that got cut off, then I'm less concerned, but is your understanding, staff's understanding that's all that got cut off?
Correct. Yes, Amy Toll, Planning Development, Economic Growth. That's what it does appear, as if it's just the general location from the title that they utilized. The applicant is here also if we need confirmation from them as well.
Okay.
Weren't new standards approved for the sign that even specified like size of the sign? And wasn't there an issue with some signs weren't legible, and so we went to the standardized sign process?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the end of last year, we implemented an updated sign process with a new template and everything that was approved by the Board of County Commissioners. So the template in this scenario is used. It's just not printed on that size. Our development review manual has not been updated. I was just made aware that the development review manual hasn't been updated since 2022. So that change that happened at the end of last year has not been reflected. So we are actually proactively working on making sure that that's now updated.
So our regulation that requires the sign to meet a certain format is not implemented yet?
Correct.
Okay.
Who's the applicant?
The applicant is Nicole Gladden. She's
No, no,
present
no,
today.
no, no. The name of the entity that's applied for this application.
The name of the entity is Bear Creek Group Home, and it's under 26318 Lawrence Avenue, LLC, doing business as Elevated Use Services.
Okay, that's not exactly what it says on the sign, but.
Okay.
You satisfied, David?
He's answered my question.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Finding of fact number 14 says they want to build a duplex on the lot.
I will have to check that. I don't recall for the top of my head. If I get an opportunity, I will check the notes on the memo agenda.
Oh, hold on. Let me just get back to it here. Says, finding of fact number 14, the following excerpt is from the applicant's project narrative attachment 2. I respectfully request that the Pasco County Zoning Department reviews this proposal and approves the construction of a duplex on the above-mentioned property.
Yes, now I recall that one. I will need to defer to the applicant since that was part of the narrative that she provided. And we basically quoted the applicant on that information that was provided.
So are we asking for a conditional use for a group home, or are we trying to build a duplex?
No, neither.
I'm just trying to.
I would like the
Why that
applicant.
fact would be relevant if this application is not to construct a duplex, which would be a special exception probably anyway, but.
I can speak to that. Amy Toll, Planning and Development. I'm looking at it right now. In my opinion, I would recommend we scratch so we can make the change. Number 14, the number 15 looks like the applicant's excerpt. We can make the adjustment to make sure that it's addressed or updated accordingly. This should be is a conditional use request for a residential treatment care facility, not a duplex.
Which is consistent with the narrative that's in our agenda package.
Correct.
Correct.
So you're comfortable with that?
Well, regardless of what the applicant put in the statement, you're not granting approval. Even if you gave this approval, you would not be approving a duplex.
That'd have to be a separate
That would be a separate approval.
approval.
Understood.
Okay.
Just confusing.
It is.
I agree with you, it's
That's the
confusing,
same
but there's
question.
no circumstance where this approval could be considered an approval of a duplex.
Okay, understood.
Okay, any other questions? If not, does the applicant have anything they'd like to say? The applicant? You have a presentation?
Well, can I ask staff one more time?
Yeah, go ahead.
How many bedrooms are in this home?
I will need to defer that to the applicant. If I'm not mistaken, I understand, but please don't quote me on this, it's 3 bedrooms. They might have a little bit more, but I will need the applicant to answer that question.
Oh, okay, all right, fair enough.
All right, thank you very much. I think
Thank
we're
you.
done. We'll just listen to the applicant, please.
Hello. Nicole Gladding, 10947 Pepper Tree Lane, Port Richey. I don't have a presentation. I figured I could answer questions that come up. We have no intention of building a duplex. I'm not sure where that narrative came from. There is no need or intention to do so. It's a 5-bedroom home.
Okay. Very good. Does anybody have questions? And then you can respond if the public has questions.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. So there's quite the list of police calls to this facility in our packet. And I see that the applicant's response is that you don't want to provide any information about the police calls. Can you tell us why that is?
No, that's not the case. My response was that we can speak about the different police calls that you might have in question. Police are coming onto campus regularly because there's welfare child checks. If there is any type of CPI involvement that is happening because of foster care, they always are accompanied by a police officer. We do routine police involvement for positive enforcement, not for just the negatives. So those involvements are listed as well anytime we ask them to come on site. There has not been any runaways or negative reason for police involvement at this property. There has been child protective investigators that have come on site that are accompanied by an officer. There has been welfare child checks that have come on site based on like parents who are wanting their child checked on outside of us or Department of Children and Families. But the police calls that have come out has not been for fighting, any type of arrest. The officers are here and they can also speak to that. But there's been no runaways, no Baker Acts, no arrests from this property.
Okay.
And I'm talking about the Bear Creek group
Okay.
home, right?
Well,
Yes, ma'am.
fine.
Yes, sir.
Oh, and you run the one in Wesley Chapel too?
I run them all.
Okay. And it looks like there's quite the laundry list of calls out there at that facility too.
There was. Those have drastically reduced.
I see. And none of these are all welfare checks?
No,
I only
no,
see
there
one
has been,
welfare check on the list.
no, there are no, well, there are welfare checks that have been called in from Department of Children and Families. It could be from just a regular parent who wants their child checked on, guardian ad litems. Any type of government agency who comes on campus has to bring an officer, most likely, and every time an officer comes out, they come with 2 units. So there's always more than one patrol officer on site. The responses in Wesley Chapel are conditions out there per our, not a special exemption, but our alternative relief that we had approved. That required that anytime we lost line of sight with a child, we had to notify law enforcement. So that is a condition that has been imposed on us, though we do uphold a big human trafficking presence, and we will call law enforcement and help to recover those children and get them back into a safe house every time. But the police involvement out there has drastically reduced.
Would you say that most of the residents there are human trafficking related, or is it more?
So the children that we serve, there are some human trafficking victims there. the whole mission of our program, we do not serve child sex offenders. We do not serve registered sex offenders. We serve children who are sexually reactive. So all of our kids have experienced sexual abuse in the past, whether it's been done to them or it has been witnessed by them, whether they've been trafficked by their parents for drugs, you name it. That is the type of child that we serve. And we bring them into our group home. It's a clinical program. It lasts 12 to 18 months, and they work through clinical phases to stop the cycle of sexual abuse. We don't want them to end up being sex offenders. We don't want them to be trafficked, become like part of the stigma of being a sex offender. So we work with them. We have been working with the coalition, the Human Trafficking Coalition. We work with Pasco County Human Services Administrator to work on our mobile response team that we have internally, because we want to limit the use of the resources of police officers and be able to utilize our own mobile response team so that we're not Baker acting all the time. The kids that have been human trafficked, 75%, I'm sure you're all aware of the 3 big stings that have happened over November and December of just this past year. And there was 247 people arrested right here in the greater Tampa Bay area for human trafficking. 75% of those kids that were recovered are dependent children or runaway children. 75% of kids are dependent, which means they're in foster care. And so if there aren't people that are going out and searching for them and looking for them and advocating for them, they are going to get lost in the system because they don't have parents and other people who are fighting for them to bring them home. 50% of the children, more than 50% of the children that were found in Operation Home for the Holidays in November, more than 50% of them are right from our backyard, right here in the greater Tampa area. The rest of them were from all over Florida. So we are diligent in making sure that these kids who do not understand healthy sexual backgrounds, understand healthy sexuality, understand what is right and wrong, healthy relationships, or relationships with parents or the people that are supposed to keep them safe, they don't understand what's right because the people who are supposed to keep them safe have completely abused them and turned them out. It's terrible. And we have opened 6 group homes, and I can tell you, we are full. We are being begged to open more because there are so many kids who are at risk of human trafficking. There are so many kids who are being sexually abused by these parents coming from child placement investigators that have nowhere to put them, and they're begging us. And we've only been in operation for 5, this is our 5th year, and we can't get homes open fast enough to save these kids. That is what we do. We do not serve sex offenders. I know that is a lot of what people think. We do not serve adjudicated, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of I get very passionate about it, so I'm sorry. But we do not serve kids who are felons. We're not allowed to, per our conditions. We're not allowed to serve registered sex offenders. They're all minors. They have to be moved out by the day before their 18th birthday. Every home has a specific age group so that they're all kind of in the same cognitive development level. This home in Bear Creek, the oldest child that would ever be there is 13. I mean, I could talk about our program all the time because I'm passionate about it, but
I was going to say, I can definitely attest to the need for these places. Now, whether or not it should be in this neighborhood or whatever is a different issue, but I can attest that there's definitely a huge need out there.
But what
I've
neighborhood
personally
would you
not-
recommend, though?
I understand.
Respectfully.
I'm not saying yes or no. I'm not saying it should or shouldn't be there. I'm
Right.
saying I can attest that there's definitely a need out there. I've
Yeah.
done a tremendous amount of fundraising
Well,
on this through Rotary. Wesley Chapel Rotary Club built Bridging, work with Bridging Hope, Bridging Freedom rather.
Bridging
built a
Freedom.
home out there. So there's tremendous need for it. I understand that.
Yes.
well, are you able to speak to any of the calls?
Yeah, could you
I mean, I'm looking at 1,
agenda.
2, 3, 4, 5 on this list. I don't know what this means because there's no information about the call other than what it just says nature. It says
Right.
sex offense delayed. What does that mean?
Right.
So a child that moves in could potentially have charges from prior to, or there could be an open case on them from if they had been sexually assaulted or had tried to sexually act out on another child or a sibling or their mother or fought back or you name it. A child could come to us that might have a pending like misdemeanor or something. Police involvement is requested from whichever county these children are from, and the police will come out and do the investigation. We have not had any child-on-child sex reports from this home. We have had one child who was arrested from this home. That is one of the call-outs, I'm sure. It was not anything that happened on our facility or in our presence. It was an old charge where we had a pickup order, and he was picked up from Miami-Dade and taken off campus, but he was picked up by a local officer and removed. We've had two, I know one child specifically, so two of these calls, his father is not happy that his child was removed from him. He has had 2 welfare child checks called in. One of them is probably the most recent call on that list. That was just recently. You know, they just don't trust their child's been removed. They don't feel like they've done anything wrong. The child's in foster care now, and he wants the officers to come out and take a look at him.
Do some of the welfare checks from CPI, does that count as a call for service as well?
Yes, CPI, anytime that they come out, they have to bring an officer as well, and those would be listed as call for service.
Planning Commission members, we do have a representative from the Sheriff's Office here as well. I don't know if he wanted to ask questions or not, but
Yeah, if he's willing to
When it's
speak.
time, yeah.
he offered to attend to answer questions if you wanted to ask him.
Okay.
All right, very good.
And can we ask?
Chase, did you want to come on up?
Might be helpful if we put the list up on the screen. That's in our agenda package.
Good afternoon, Chase Daniels, Pasco Sheriff's Office, 8661 Citizens Drive. So I'm here to answer any questions you guys have. I know that I had received some data requests for 2 addresses that I provided to the staff, but happy to answer any questions or any concerns or provide any information I can.
Then maybe when the list gets up on the screen, maybe you can, if you have any knowledge of these, you can add some color to what we're seeing.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't understand what it means. It says like sex offense delayed. What does that mean?
Mhm. Yes, sir. So looking at the, so I'm pulling up our calls now. So looking at the January 6th one, just an example, I do have to be careful with what information we provide because it may not all be public record. But looking at the report here, yeah, so that appears to be an individual alleging that one of the individuals who resided in the home had committed a sexual offense, not while they were in the home, but before they came to that home. Looks like the offense occurred in Tampa. But that was an individual who later then was put in the home, so it was some follow-up investigation on that case. And I can tell you, so Nature Trail, looking at the data so I was requested to provide calls for service between December 1st, 2024 and December 1st, 2025. We've received 14 calls for service at that location. They vary from suspicious person, illegal parking, welfare check. Our last call for service at that location that I can find while I was just in there doing some quick research was a December 9th, 2025, so that fell outside of the date I was requested to provide to. But our last call for service there was December 9th, 2025, and as the applicant stated, that was a father requesting a welfare check on his son. The Lawrence Avenue address, 26318 Lawrence Ave, 30 calls for service. The date range was a little bit different on that one, at 8/1/24 to 8/1/25. The most typical call for service there, we received 5 reports of or 5 requests for Baker Acts, 3 reports of missing people, and 3 suicide attempts. Looks like our last call for service at that location, again, that I could find just on my phone doing some quick research, was January 12th, 2026, which involved a battery of a staff member.
What does it mean when it says delayed
Mhm.
on these, where it says nature?
That's from a
and then
previous, it's from a previous
Mhm.
infraction that they were
it
investigating.
says disturbance juvenile delayed. What is?
Yes, sir. So what that means is, so we bifurcate our calls between active and delayed. So if they are active, so that is where you see, like illegal parking does not have delays. That means that we received a report that illegal parking was occurring in that moment at that time. delayed. So it could be, hey, a couple hours ago or a day ago, someone called in to report that there were, juveniles that were fighting, but it just means it is not active in that moment.
Were there any arrests made from the facility?
Which facility, sir?
This one, this is the subject of the application, Nature Trail.
Yes, sir. I can look that up for you. So that would be 11755 Nature Trail. Sorry, I'm just
It's okay.
waiting for the information. So yes, sir. So I'm showing one arrest from April 27th, 2025, and it was involving a lewd and lascivious battery. But I'm not. I'm pulling up now to see if that happened at the location or if that was called in. Yeah, so it looks like that was called in as a sex offense delayed, and it happened outside of the jurisdiction.
So it's basically a warrant for a previous infraction that happened.
Not necessarily a warrant, but so it got reported to the abuse hotline, and then it gets referred to us for a latent investigation.
Got you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
So Chase, these are obviously not the only two group homes in Pasco County, correct? I mean, I assume there's other group homes that you all.
Yeah, so I'm not sure about group homes, but there are other homes of this type that exist.
Is
in
the
county,
number
yes.
of calls that to these two homes typical of what you would see for this type of facility?
Yes, sir. So if we're talking about, for instance, the Wrap House or the Bridging Freedom Safe locations, these are pretty typical calls for service to these locations,
And
to these type of
is the
locations.
frequency of the calls typical?
Yes, sir.
All right.
And then I have one more question. Is there a way to determine, and I realize you can't disclose the source of the complaints probably, but is there a way to determine which of these calls originated from a neighbor as opposed to the home itself?
No, sir. That would be protected as we can't provide the 911 caller information, so that'd be protected.
No, I'm not asking for the name of the individual. I'm asking, is there a way to determine how many of the calls came
Like
from
if they came from the neighborhood.
outside the home?
So that would be a question for Pasco County Joint Communications. We just know where we get dispatched to, but we're not aware of necessarily where it is coming from.
Call originates.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
No.
Okay, if not, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think there are, how many people are here to speak on this issue? Okay. Then we're going to take a 5-minute recess. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to call the meeting back to order, please. Okay, we continue. If there's nothing more from the applicant, is there anyone here to ask questions from the public? Do we have a list?
The first individual we have signed up to speak, Mr. Chair, is a Robert Castro, and after that was James Gronert, excuse me.
Okay, thank you. Robert, just give your name and address, please.
Yes, sir. I got a couple documents I'd like to present to you guys.
Do we have
Move
a
to
motion
receive
to
and
receive and file?
Second.
Motion to receive and file.
And
All
could
in
I ask
favor?
staff to put up a
Aye.
map of the
Aye.
neighborhood so we can see where these folks live? Thank you.
That was quick.
It's like
Gavin's
you
the
knew
mayor.
what we were going to ask.
Okay, go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name
You've
is
been
Robert
sworn, I think.
Pasco. I
Is
live
that right?
at 26445 Lawrence Avenue.
And you've been sworn?
Yes, I've been sworn.
Thank you.
First on my agenda is who in the neighborhood within 2,500 feet of this facility was required to offer a seat on the board or governing board. Nobody that I've been in contact with has been honored this position. Second, there's an ongoing violation under condition number 6 with their conditions upon approval, which requires all vehicles to park in the driveway, not on the grass or in the street. This is a very narrow road. This is blocking EMS and emergency vehicles for those that are in need. Third on my list, there are violations of conditions on Lawrence that are repeatedly ignored. As Mr. Yonker said, code enforcement came out and said no violations. Code enforcement is unaware of the conditions upon approval. So with no involvement of the conditions upon approval, how is he supposed to enforce them? Who is in charge of enforcing these rules? And me as a community member having to pave the road after Pasco County said that they are not responsible for repaving this road. I bought 4 tons of asphalt, spent 12 hours shoveling hot asphalt into big, huge potholes that were over 6 feet big. This was ignored by the fire chief, Pasco County commissioners, and multiple other departments of public safety. I have also then reached out to multiple parties and neighbors about these issues. I've even asked the group home employees not to park on the road. When asked, they tell me to F off and speed away. So with that being said, I would like to know who enforces these rules of conditions upon approval, or is this just a mockery of this department here?
Can you,
And then, following that subject, we also have on EYS's homepage, they have 6 at-risk therapeutic homes for sexualized behavior. What is sexualized behavior, I ask? So you turn into the pages. There's a page right here that states exactly what sexualized behavior is. Okay? Problematic sexualized behavior is more than kids playing doctor or showing curiosity about private parts. So there's a whole bunch that's in there and in that document. But that's what they label they want to care for in this home. Not handicap or disabled, not any of these things that they say that they're showing on your planning. It is problematic sexual behavior is on their home website. And that is what they push for. This is not about the kids. This is a cash grab. They switch from a nonprofit to a profit organization. This is not for the kids like she tried to say. And then she wants to say that this is not problematic sexual behavior kids. These are problematic sexual behavior kids as shown. And they're also being studied by colleges. We have multiple USF website, or one of the college websites that I also have listed, that will also show you that these kids are being studied by other departments and more funding is being given to this. This is not about the kids. This is about money.
Okay.
They don't care about the safety.
can I get,
And that is all today. Thank you, guys.
excuse me,
Just a minute,
sir,
I might have
sir,
questions.
can I get you to back up just a minute? You mentioned one of the conditions of approval that you said they were in violation of, but you didn't say what the condition was. What does the condition require and what's the violation?
So everybody should have a copy of this conditions upon approval because it was signed by all of you guys here. So under condition number 2,
Lawrence,
it shows failure to, it shows about the facility giving a governing board within 2,500 feet. That's on page 5 of 8.
So you're talking about the conditions for Lawrence Avenue?
Correct.
So if this is to be approved, the conditions, if it's to be approved.
The thing is that no one's regulating these conditions upon approval, sir. There is no enforcement of these conditions. The sheriff's department has received multiple calls, and so has code enforcement, and everyone wants to point the finger saying it's not their department. Tyler of code enforcement stated to me he didn't even have a copy of this. He doesn't even know what this is, but he's the one who's in charge of our area, supposed to be enforcing it. And over the last 5 years, we've been made a mockery of. Then the residents just have to suck it up and deal with this?
Just to be clear, you're talking about a condition of approval for the Lawrence Ave facility.
Yes, sir. That's where I live.
Okay, I get that.
And they're saying that they've had no issues with us, but we've had constant issues with them. It has been nonstop repeated offenses, and they've been ignored by both the state, by the county sheriff, and also by code compliance. I have open pictures of code compliance in the background while vehicles are parked on the roadway. And because Tyler didn't know what the conditions upon approval were, he couldn't set a violation. This is more than just one occurrence that has happened.
So can I, you need to slow down. Mr. Moody's correct. You need to just slow down a little bit. Okay. So what happened when you made Tyler, when you showed him you have a copy of the conditions.
Correct. I asked Tyler to come out to my home
Right.
and get a copy
Show
of
him the conditions of approval.
I tried to show him it. I tried to tell him to come back out to my home so I could give him a copy of them, and he requested I emailed them to him yesterday. And I told him that I cannot figure out how to upload this via email to where it's accepted by Pasco County, because Pasco County blocks out pictures when sent to their emails through a certain way.
So when did these conversations with Tyler occur?
Yesterday.
Okay, so this all occurred recently.
This was when I was told to contact code compliance because Pasco Sheriff, commissioners, and everybody else said that they could not do anything about this. This was not their department. And then when asking even customer service in Pasco County, they gave me the runaround to go to child services, zoning, and everybody else but code compliance. It has taken 5 years to get the answer of going to code compliance to actually make this happen now.
Code compliance is the right department to enforce conditions of approval. Let's start there. Okay, so when did you file a complaint with code compliance?
Code compliance was just filed this month because that is when Denise Hernandez and everybody else started saying code compliance is who you need to file your complaints with.
Okay,
All prior to that, Commissioner Waitman and everybody else in the commissioner's office was well aware of these scenarios and everything else that has been going on Lawrence Avenue.
so who did you speak with in code compliance?
Code compliance, like I said, I spoke to Tyler. I can pull up his last name if I'm allowed to reach for my phone.
Sure.
Yes. Is this the only copy?
Navarro is his last name. So,
Okay. Is he
as
the
I
only
said,
one-
multiple conversations with Tyler resulted in him being frustrated because he has no idea what these conditions upon approval are for Lawrence Avenue. He cannot pull them either.
When did you speak to Tyler?
Tyler, I started speaking with about 5 days ago.
Okay.
And from first report on, it's been nothing but him not understanding what's going on here. He has no idea what is going on with
Okay,
these
well-
conditions. And as I said,
These
he
con-
asked
okay,
me
but
for a copy
in
because he
Tyler's
couldn't get it.
defense, if these conversations occurred 5 days ago, I'm not sure that's adequate time for him to have investigated.
Like I said,
matter.
it's sometime within the time frame of the last week. Me and him have had these conversations. I can check exactly what dates and tell you if you'd like, but it's within the last week
Well,
time.
we have somebody from code compliance here, and we can have them testify, but
Is it Tyler Navarro?
I don't know, who do we have? My point is, though, is that your statement that code compliance isn't doing anything.
Tyler Navarro was
Yeah,
unaware of what to do and had
I
no
understand that, but
information.
5
given to him.
days is not, I mean, he may in fact be investigating it and still,
No, he closed all the tickets.
okay, well, I guess we'll hear from code compliance and see if that's true. I don't know.
So,
Okay, any other questions?
Are there other conditions of approval that you feel are not being adhered to?
there are multiple conditions upon approval I feel like there is infractions of.
Can you tell me what those are?
So, condition number 6, as I said, no vehicle shall be parked on the grass. Condition number 4, residents need to be notified within 30 minutes to the Pasco County Sheriff. These kids have ran away multiple times, and they have not notified Pasco County Sheriff.
All
We
right,
have them on record.
So, how, I'm not saying you're not telling the truth by asking this question. I'm just trying to understand the facts. How do you know they've run away from the facility?
Because they ran away to my home and tried to come in through my front door, sir.
Can you tell us a little more about that?
On 4th of July, I had an African-American male try to break down my front door, begging the police sheriff to take him away. And as the lawyer said for the group home, he was just confused. The kid knew exactly where he was, and he wanted to go back to his grandfather's. He begged the sheriff's department to take him away to the county jail.
And did you call the sheriff's department?
The sheriff's department was driving by as I opened the front door with their lights on, and this was about 4 o'clock in the morning.
And what happened?
The kid was then brought back to the group home, and I never saw him again.
Okay.
And so how do you know they didn't call the sheriff within 30 minutes?
So there's other reports where we have them on Ring camera, these kids going through our backyards, breaking into our homes, and other incidences. So there's multiple reports. It's not just one secluded incident.
Yeah, we'll be hearing from the other.
Right, I guess my question is, how do you know that they're not contacting the sheriff when they're...
Because I pulled the police report, sir.
Okay.
Just like how he had them posted right here on the TV. He didn't show Lawrence Avenue, because Lawrence Avenue's police report's twice as long.
And so you're saying yourself, obviously, along with some of your neighbors, have had some of these issues with attempted break-ins and things like that?
We've had multiple.
Okay.
Not attempted, they did break in.
Okay, and so just to clarify, I guess those calls for service would be at that particular address, therefore wouldn't be showing on this report that was provided, because these were all calls for service for this.
Correct, and that was within the last year, not the last 5 years, as they say they've been operating for. If you look at the calls over the last 5 years, there is numerous calls, tremendous amounts of traffic, and it is, like I said, I'm the one who paved the road. I'm the one who came out of pocket and had to shovel 4 tons of asphalt into all these potholes that these drivers use the road arrogantly, searching for these kids within that 30 minutes, trying to find them, and they're using our road as a raceway. I have to deal with this.
Yeah, I guess that would be kind of my point of clarification, because maybe showing the calls for service at the address of the group home's not telling the whole story if there's been calls for service in the radius around that in the neighborhood. So I don't know if that's something that Chase can speak to or not regarding other calls for service there in the neighborhood, but that'd be something interesting to look at.
But also, as I said, for the code enforcement agent for our area, Tyler, to not know what these conditions upon approval are, and he was the one who was supposed to be enforcing them the last 5 years, that brings a big concern to me and my community. Because if there's no enforcement, these are completely useless.
I understand.
Yeah, in my experience, I've seen that code enforcement is often more reactive than proactive, so sometimes it takes a call to code enforcement to let them know of an issue going on for them to investigate.
So as I was saying, sir, I have a photo with code enforcement in the background and the violation right in front of him, and he says he didn't see any violation.
Okay,
But yet clearly in the conditions upon
we'll see
approval.
from our representative from code enforcement, see what the status is of the investigation on the complaints.
I got you. Not a problem.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah, I don't take our questions as disbelief of your testimony. We just need to make sure that all the facts get laid out here before we make a decision.
No, absolutely, sir.
And thank you for coming out. We
Hey.
appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Anything else I can?
Thank you very much. I was just checking.
No.
The next individual that we have signed up is a James Gronert, and after that is Tara Castro.
Good afternoon. If we could get your name and address, please.
Name's Skylar James Gronert. I live at 26414 Lawrence Avenue.
Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is James Gronert. I live on Lawrence Avenue, 100 yards from Elevated Youth Services Lawrence House facility. I'm here as a father of a 14-year-old daughter and a toddler son, and as a homeowner concerned about what's happening in my neighborhood. I'm asking you to deny the conditional use permit for Bear Creek House. First, there's a fundamental misrepresentation happening here. The Bear Creek CUP application states that EYS serves male youth who are identified as, quote, at risk. Lawrence House CUP says quote, minors with handicaps and disabilities. EYS's own website and their Florida State University field placement listing explicitly state they operate group homes for, quote, male youth who struggle with problem sexualized behavior. That's not a disability or generic at-risk youth. That's a specific clinical population. This board and the community deserve to know what's actually being proposed. Second, Lawrence House has generated 30 documented sheriff responses in the last year, not minor incidents. Include Baker acts, batteries, suicide threats, attempts, missing persons, probable cause calls. I've had youth from the facility knocking on my door at 10:30 at night. I've seen residents unsupervised in the woods near my home. My neighbors have reported kids in their yards and vehicles broken into. Here's what concerns me most. Lawrence House CUP prohibits residents, quote, adjudicated delinquent based on charges of violent crimes. But it says nothing about sexual offenses. EYS specifically treats youth with problem sexualized behaviors. The absence of any restriction on sexual offenses is alarming, and who's checking? What's the enforcement mechanism? Bear Creek CUP uses weaker language. It only restricts youth currently, quote, under custody of DJJ for sexual violent offenses, not those under DCF custody or no longer under DJJ supervision. And again, how is this enforced? I have a 14-year-old daughter and a toddler living 100 yards from one of these facilities. I no longer let my daughter ride her bicycle on the street because, and I want to go on the record and state directly to the members of this board, I am concerned about the danger of child sexual assault stemming from these facilities. I have observed that when Lawrence House operates at or near 10 residents, as approved by this board, the problems intensify. Runaways, police calls increase. EYS has recently kept Lawrence House numbers lower, likely due to law enforcement attention. Once the Bear Creek CUP is approved, I believe both facilities will fill to capacity and my neighborhood will face the same pattern all over again. I understand that struggling youth need treatment and placement. I'm not opposing help for vulnerable children. You have an opportunity today to require transparency, enforceable safeguards, and protection for residential neighborhoods. The pattern displayed at Lawrence House raises serious questions about whether this model can operate safely at 10-bed capacity. I'm asking you to deny this permit, and I will be pursuing revocation of the existing permit on my street.
Can I ask
Yes, sir.
a question? You cited some other source of data as to who the clients of the facility are. You said that they claim you say that the applicant claims that the clients of the facility are.
So the Lawrence.
From another source of data, you said you can demonstrate that that's not what.
Yeah, so I have, this is the College of Social Work from Florida State University.
So how do they know what's in there? Who's in there?
The Elevated Youth Services has placed a advertisement for social work students to come work at the house. Specifically states that Elevated Youth Services has six licensed at-risk group homes for male youth who struggle with problem sexualized behavior, ages 7 to 18.
So that's from their own employment ad.
Yeah, that's from the employment ad, and it's directly on their website. It says directly on their website that they provide services to youth with problem sexualized behavior.
I see.
Not at-risk youth, not general at-risk youth, or
Would you be willing to submit that
Yes, sir.
advertisement to the clerk? Could I have a motion to receive? I'll make a motion to move, receive, and
Second.
file his
We have a
information.
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, like sign.
Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions? Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming.
Thanks.
And who's next?
The next individual I have signed up to speak is Tara Castro, and after that is Terry Tidewell.
Sorry, guys, that scared the shit. Sorry.
It won't bite.
Well, it just like popped in my face. I'm not that tall.
Not Mike, just remember.
Hi, my name is Tara Castro. I am a homeowner on Lawrence Avenue.
Okay.
I live at 26445. Sorry. Please
okay.
don't use my minutes.
Take
It's
your
very
time.
important.
Take your time.
I'm gonna set this.
Send her a bill.
Yeah. right.
So I'm sorry.
Sure.
I live at 26445 Lawrence Avenue. I know I'm not required to disclose my address, but I think it's very important that you guys can see the vision of how close I am to this group home on Lawrence Avenue.
Yeah, it is important.
What I'm coming here to you today is I want to bring to your attention a few different things that have happened in the community, and it's happened for quite some time, and I'm very concerned. I used to have my brother that lived in the community. After you guys approved the home, we caught kids in the backyard, and he sold his home. I no longer have my brother here anymore in Florida. It's very sad, you know, losing family that was so close, and we tried so hard to stay together. So anyways, as I go back, I don't want to spit off my speech, but I want to get back to the main thing for you guys. Right here, I would like to submit this information as evidence of you guys. I only have one copy, so I don't know if there's any way we can make copies because I wasn't prepared for you guys thinking I had to make all these copies, so I apologize. But if I need to read it, I will first, and then you guys can have it. What is problem sexual behavior? Problem sexual behavior is more than kids playing doctors or showing curious about private parts. PSB includes sexual behaviors that are beyond typical sexual development. A clear indication of a problem is when behaviors are aggressive, intrusive, and coercive, and this is harms to youth and others. Again, that is a very key statement, harm to youth and others, okay? Now I'm gonna touch on some things, you guys. Lawrence Avenue property, the group home, is in complete violation of several violations of the condition upon approval that have not been enforced by you guys, or not you guys specifically, by the county, I should say, and I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. First, I want to remind you that Lawrence Avenue is a private road. This was brought up before you guys, when you guys approved it in 2022. The citizens maintain that road. Again, we just have to maintain it, and it's been approved as a residential street, not as an access for an institutional treatment, which constant traffic, staff turnover, and student clinicians. Again, going to the USF website, that's the student clinicians, first year, second year, and advanced students. I want to bring to your attention how this facility and what I have witnessed personally. In my brother's backyard in 2022, I was in his backyard. 2 kids showed up in his backyard to fish. No adults or anything like that. I didn't know at the time. There was a 3rd individual as well. These were minors. They were from that home. My brother went down and spoke to them. They were told, the worker told my brother, sorry, I was busy making supper, is why they weren't supervised. In 2023, a child from that home tried to break into my home at 4:15 in the morning. I got a call as I was on my way home from work to asking me to check the Ring camera. I checked the Ring camera and informed my daughter to arm herself and be prepared to fully eliminate the threat if it comes in the door. That was 4:15 in the morning. When I got to the property, that little boy was down the street in front of the horse property. Again, over the years, the staff walked by my property, or the kids walk by my property, excuse me. There is no adult that I have witnessed. The adults follow in a vehicle 5 football lengths behind. They don't hear the instigating going back and forth. I have a potbelly pig, a 200-pound potbelly pig. These kids have walked by my property, have instigated trying to call my livestock out of the backyard, have tried to feed my pig, oh, we'll give it a balloon. Well, if you've ever had livestock, worst thing you can do is feed anything like that to a livestock. Again, I told them, this needs to stop. Please stop. There's a security issue. There's a safety issue. These kids are repeatedly gone all the time. I'm going to go real quick to the one on 2025, just because I think it's important that you guys see the history. On July 4th, 2025, this is just a short time. I'm only giving you a short period of time. The real true picture of what happened. July 4th, 2025, there was a fight on Lawrence Avenue. The sheriff's office had to respond. On August 5th, 2025, we had 2 individuals, and I'm not going to label their names. It's in the report that I have here from the sheriff's office. On August 4th, 2 individuals, and I'm going to use the initial D and B, or T, I believe it was on that one, that ran away. They ran away. I had full law enforcement activity down my street on Lawrence Avenue, including canines. They came to my house at 9 p.m. that night, asked me if I felt safe. I do not feel safe in my own home nor on my road anymore because I don't know what's coming through my door. I'm home a lot. I'm home alone, and I shouldn't have to feel this way. On August 12th, My neighbor informed me at 10 p.m. at night, heads up, we have a kid loose in the neighborhood. I said, informed me. I told her, what do you mean? My ring's been going off. My cameras are going off like crazy. And again, it was a car riding up and down, flying up and down Lawrence Avenue. They were looking for a kid the kid that went to my neighbor's house, rang his doorbell, and he just testified they wanted to use Snapchat. They didn't even know, they knew the kid was gone, but that was a report they didn't have to report to the sheriff because they found the kid in 30 minutes. So my question to you all is, and this is not in a defensive way, but in the condition of approval, and this is for condition 4, I believe it is, it says in the condition they are to have 24/7 supervision. And I'm going to tell you, that 24/7 supervision, as I'm describing right now, this isn't the first time, this isn't the second time. The ones that are leaving that they find in 30 minutes, they don't have to report that to the sheriff. So again, your report log that you saw is inaccurate. There is no checks and balance to see when these kids are leaving, how many times they've eloped, where they have gone, what they're doing in the neighborhood. Now let me get back to my statement of what else happened that same year, and this is just recently. And I know I'm under oath, so I'm telling the truth. So let's get back to August 12th. Again, that was the day that he went to the...
1 second. I just want to make sure you're aware, we do have a time limitation of 3 minutes, so.
Would you grant me
Trying to
some
give
more,
you the-
please?
I'm
Just
trying.
1 more minute,
I
real
already
quick.
have, so.
1 more minute, please.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you, sir. So on 10/5,
Make sure
there's a
everybody-
sheriff's report that there's kids ran away again. One of the same minors, again, ran away. This is after 30 minutes of them being on the run, remember that. So guess what? On 10/5, on 10/5, a kid runs down a Facebook post, and these kids are running down Quail Hollow. There's no lights, there's no street lights, there's no sidewalks. They're running in the middle of the night. They're gonna get killed. On 10/12, on 10/5, you had them run away again. On 10/14, you had another neighbor that notified me that the boys were at her house on Blue Stripe, and she was in the reports of calling the police. So there should be a police report on that date, October 14th. On 10/22/2025, the same boy ran away again. So again, we've got how many runaways? And these were just documented police reports, but my point is that they don't document and the police don't show up for the ones they find, like the one they showed up in my door. So again, I want to thank you for giving me that extra time.
Sure.
So I appreciate it.
I want to know
But
what is on your mind. I just want to make sure everybody has a chance to speak.
I understand, and I just want you to, what I would urge you guys is, number 1, vote no on Bear Creek, because there's a lot of stuff going on that we as neighbors are dealing with. And number 2, I would ask the planning commissioners to revoke the condition of approval for Lawrence Avenue and no more condition of approval for that home. Thank you, guys. You have a great day.
Thank you.
If you guys want this, I can turn this in. I don't know.
Yeah, we can, if you would
Move
like to.
move to
you're
receive and
welcome.
file.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Gianna, do you have somebody on WebEx?
We do. We still have a few more individuals here to speak if you'd like to hear from the in-person.
Yeah, let's just hear from the WebEx first, since we.
Are they online? They're not signed up online.
Oh, they're not? You're not ready? Okay, then we'll go to the next person. Who's the next person?
Amy Toll, we do have Commissioner Waitman online that would like to speak, so it's up to you if you would like to have him do it
Yeah,
now.
Go ahead. Commissioner Waitman, can you hear us?
Yes. Are we elevated?
You're elevated and we're ready to listen.
Thank you. Thank you, board. First, Planning Commission, thank you guys. Thank all of you for volunteering and hearing items before we do. And I know it's a little out of the ordinary to speak before the board. Again, Seth Waitman, County Commissioner, Representative of District 2. Our office does have concerns with this area, Lawrence Ave in general. We're trying to find solutions to the road and to the site, the subject that we're talking about today, there are numerous challenges. I do not think that this location is appropriate for this type of use. There's no question that programs like this are needed for our youth and to help kids in tough situations. But this location is certainly, in my opinion, not appropriate. I hope the board considers to not expand the permit and that we not allow additional folks here. I appreciate all the residents who have traveled west across the county to share their concerns with the Planning Commission, and I thank them for sharing all of their concerns with our office since we took office in 2022. So I just wanted to call in and say that I stand with all the folks of Lawrence Ave, and I respectfully oppose this item. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Waitman. We appreciate your time and your consideration. We'll certainly take that under consideration as well. So thank you again. And if there's nothing else from your part, then we'll move on to the next person from the public that would like to speak.
Mr. Terry Tidwell is next on the list, and after that we have Angeli Rodriguez.
Hi, my name's Terry Tidwell. I've had a home in Quail Hollow since 1989. I live at the corner of Coral Vine, Green Willow Run, 2702 Coral Vine Lane.
Okay.
My property's completely fenced in. 2 gates right next to the house, is the only way on the property. December 4th, 2024, I was sitting down in Key West. My wife was getting her nails done. I got a call from Pasco County Sheriff's Department. I said, well, this can't be good. 2 children from a group home had just broke into my house, kicked in the bottom light of my French door going outside. Once they went inside, they broke in my bedroom door where it was locked because I keep guns in there. Now I keep them in a safe. Trash place. Opened every cabinet in the house, every closet in the house, took a knife to my leather briefcase, went in there, stole a bunch of old money I had, took 2 guns. One of the guns they shot in the house. Now these children, which of course are younger than 13, well, one of them was 16 and was on probation for burglary. And I heard a lady up here saying, well, ain't no felons at my house. No, we don't do that. Well, he's in jail now, and at his trial, unfortunately for him, he was 17 by then. So now he's really looking at some time. Till he's 21, he's going to be in the joint. But all I'm saying is, I got cameras. I didn't even have them armed. I didn't know this group home was even in the neighborhood. And I live, about half a mile from it. I never had a problem at this house in all the years I've owned it. But like I said, it's completely fenced in. Never felt a threat there at all. Now I keep my 12 gauge next to the front door. And if somebody comes at my house in the morning, busting on the door at 4, double-aught buckshot's gonna answer it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll bet you they won't come back. So this right here is all the times I've been to the courthouse over Dade City, to the hearings for these guys, and they didn't show. Finally got to go there, and one of them had a trial. And boy, that trial turned out good. But I have neighbors that are widows. My neighbor across the street, her husband Larry, a really good friend of mine, Purple Heart recipient, Vietnam veteran like me, died in November. She's scared. She's scared. I got a friend down the street. Her name's Alexandra. Just found out she's stage 4. She lives by herself. She's scared because of this. So these 13-year-olds, that's 17 or 16-year-old that's breaking into people's houses and escaping from there, it's just not right. There's too many old people and retired people in this neighborhood that don't have guns and don't have alarm systems.
Right.
We don't need this.
We appreciate you being here and telling us about it.
Thank you very much.
The next individual I have signed up is a Miss Angeli Rodriguez, and after that, a Kemwell Fortes.
Okay, is that the last two?
No, Mr. Chair, we have about 5 more individuals signed up.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I am Angeli Rodriguez. I live on 27611 Lawrence Avenue. I currently stay with my mother and my sister, which I do have nieces and nephews that live with us on the residence. I have had personal experiences with these said children. I feel like the Castros covered everything that is going on. I feel like Mr. Tydale did cover everything that is going on. It is a big concern for the community. And I just would like to say, I really do hope that you guys vote no on Bear Creek and revoke the act on Lawrence Avenue because it's unacceptable. We're scared. My nieces range anywhere from 1 to 13 years old. They cannot go outside. We do not feel safe for them to go outside. I have nieces and nephews, and we feel fear for all of them. And I hope that you guys listen and take all of this into consideration and vote no. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, who was next?
Next, we have a Mr. Kemwell Fortes, and after that, we have a Miss Christy Zimmel.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Kemwell Fortes. I live in the residence of 26625 Lawrence Avenue. Oh, shit. Excuse my language.
That's okay.
My voice kind of went off. It was pretty much covered up. Mr. Castro and Mrs. Castro kind of said everything most likely I already had read down. And honestly, I vote for no on Bear Creek and revoke on Lawrence Avenue.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
The next individual is a Miss Christy Zimmel, and after that, we have Miss Dana Myers.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Christy Zimmer, 3615 Pinecone Court. You want to know what the violations of their existing conditional use permit is. Number 1, residents are not handicapped and disabled as defined by the Fair Housing Act or ADA. They are whatever they had provided you with the information that's also being advertised with FSU to get their counselors. Number 2, no advisory board has been established. No resident member is on that board. They do not have any meetings. Number 4, they failed to contact law enforcement on a timely basis or every basis. They do not contact law enforcement every time a kid takes off, like they should. Number 6, constantly parking in the grass and in the road. There's too many vehicles there for that property to maintain the flow of traffic that they have created. Number 7, not complying with the rules and the regulations that you have set forth. Number 9, continuing to violate all the special conditions that you have set forth. Number 10, conditions are enforceable, but when the county code enforcement doesn't even know what those conditions are to enforce, we have a major breakdown in communication that needs to be corrected. This is not my neighborhood in Lake Padgett Estates has the perfect group home. It is for handicap and it is for disabled. We love those people in that home, and those people in that home love the neighbors. That is an example of what a good group home is for a community in a residential area. This particular project and this company is not. It sounds like your typical NGO like they're having to deal with right now in Minnesota. It's not pretty. It's all about the money and how much money they get per kid. If you think that having 10 kids with this kind of degree level of problems in a house, in a residential neighborhood is an okay situation, live next door to one and see what you're putting up with. These people don't deserve that. They've already violated many of the conditions on the permit that you've already approved. I would ask that you revoke those conditional permits that you've already approved and do not issue another one for the new project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Who's next?
Next, we have a Miss Dana Myers, and that is the last individual I have signed up to speak in person.
All right, thank you.
Hi, I'm Dana Myers, 8515 Candy Lane.
Okay.
The things that I came to say today have already been said. So no reason to get into that. But I did want to correct something. You guys started talking about the sign that was supposed to be in the front yard?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you put that? Okay, I live on the corner of Gandy and Nature. I look at this house every single day.
Yeah.
That sign was there for one day and for that photo. That sign was taken down and thrown in the trash, or not in the trash, in some bushes. I pulled it out and I took a picture of that sign. And it was in the bushes.
Can I just ask you to just take a deep breath for a minute before you continue, because I know you're upset. And
I'm upset because I'm hearing what these people say.
I understand, and you have every right to be. I just want you to.
We shouldn't even be here.
I just want you to feel comfortable about speaking. Okay?
The type of home that she's asking you to continue we need to have one. I understand her passion, but it needs to be in the right venue. It is commercial. She's making money. It does not need to be in their backyard. It doesn't need to be in mine either.
Okay.
Do not approve 10 children. I watch what's happening with 6. You guys aren't looking. I'm in my backyard looking every day. That's them. It's ugly.
Okay.
You wouldn't want to live there. You wouldn't want to see it. I hope you understand. Their garbage is out on the road every day. Every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they won't pick up the damn trash. They leave it out there for days. I go and I collect all the trash out of the front yard because potato chip bags, candy wrappers, their workers don't care about that. They don't care the wind blows and it blows all over the neighborhood. So I'm the one, my husband's the one, we're picking it up. They don't care. Their workers don't live there. They don't care about us. They don't care about that property. I have never seen less than 6 cars in that yard. There's not room for 6 cars. There's only 6 kids. So if there are only 6 kids living in that house, you tell me why are there 6 cars in the parking lot or in their parking lot? In the street, we don't park in the street in our neighborhood. Bear Creek is a bunch of people with pride and ownership. Theirs is in the yard, in the street. I'm handicapped. I walk my dogs. I can't get through their street because they're parked, blocking the sidewalk. I ask them to move. Yeah, I agree. I get the FU. You're not. They don't care about us. They don't live there. We're not their neighbors. They don't try to interact with us at all. I hope you get my point. Please don't do that to us. I wouldn't do that to you.
Thank you very much. Okay, was there one more?
That was the last individual that I had signed up to speak, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I think we have somebody that has their hand up. Like to come forward? I don't think you've been sworn.
I have not.
Okay, so let's do that.
I do.
Your name and address.
Pastor Jen, Shady Hills Mission Chapel, 15925 Green Glen Lane, Shady Hills, Florida. And I will say, this is a difficult situation. I understand. I am what I would consider to be a local mission field pastor. I am in the field. I work with many community partners. And as a matter of fact, as someone who provides shelter during the cold weather season, most recently, very recently. And we have had, unfortunately, kids who have aged out of foster care, who have nowhere to go, end up at the church. And we are looking for resources to be able to get them safely housed. However, after listening to all the testimony today, I think most importantly, it would be honestly irresponsible to recommend, because it sounds like they need to maybe circle the wagons around the issues that they have currently been experiencing, because to be a good neighbor means that you look out for your neighbors. It should not be an adverse situation, and not to say that that's never going to happen, but to respect your neighbors, and without meeting with your neighbors and to say, hey, we want to expand, to give them the opportunity for constructive criticism or feedback. But, also I think that, most importantly, and I will tell you, I'm here advocating because I have church members who live in Bear Creek. And I can assure you, those church members, they would be here, but they're working. And so I said that I would come and just impress upon each of you that they are not in agreement. They have kids that are under the age of 17, living in their home, and it is a difficult environment and landscape that we all are living in. But, it right here says, with regards to this particular thing, when I go to, it's either the comp plan or the land use code, but I apologize. No negative impact on neighborhood quality or property values. And unfortunately, I think based on what everyone has heard, with facts that have been provided from Pasco County Sheriff, that at this point, it doesn't sound like this would be a wise decision for this board, but also honestly for their organization. I clearly understand that there is a need for the work that they are doing, but we have to do it effectively and in a way that is safe as well. So, I wouldn't want somebody pulling a gun on my child, but clearly that's something that may happen if they expand. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
I have a question, Mr.
Yes.
Chair, for Ms. Kerouac. Ms. Kerouac? So you're out there, I know you do a lot of work in the community. What are your thoughts on the balance of where a home like this might be located, or do you have thoughts on that?
Not that my rural community members would be happy my saying this, but when I came before, I had put together very quickly a project to come before the opioid task force for opioid abatement funding. And the one location that I had identified was near the juvenile facility that's off 52, so where you have people that are, they're aware of what's there. It's not, this location is kind of a ruse because you don't know what's there, and you may think it's just somebody that doesn't care about their house, but there could be danger behind what is going on. So I always, based on what I know to be true and what has been successful, where you can create a community within that property, it helps to provide not only security for the kids that are there, the individuals that are there, it also helps to provide security for the neighbors. And that would be, based on what I've seen, to be successful. And, I'm an open book. I had a child, my youngest son became a problem for my husband and I at the age of 11. I was not equipped, regardless of what anybody thinks about me, I was a pretty good kid. And so I wasn't prepared to deal with this. And so that's why I mean, I really came with an open mind. Maybe there's something that I'm missing. So I would have to say that, you know, this is very important work, but that being said, I think it's work that needs to be done while you look for ways not only to protect your staff, the folks living there, but also to protect the community from the work that you know is needed to be done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So Chris, does that mean you get room in one of your schools?
Well, we do have fencing around our school, so that
Yeah.
helps.
Not for another couple years.
There is fencing.
Okay, so would the applicant like to come up and answer any of those questions or concerns?
Sure. And I did take notes on some of the complaints. So I will start with, at the property, we have installed the big semicircular driveway at the Lawrence Avenue home and the Bear Creek home are totally different homes. I want to start with that. However, we did install the giant semicircular driveway as required when we had the alternative relief conditions imposed. We have constant case management, DCF, CPI, you name it, that are coming out. If they park on the street, they leave quickly. I don't know how often they are parking on the grass. I do know that we have plenty of parking on the driveway. The home supervisors are responsible for making sure that they're not parking on the grass. If that is the case, I welcome any of the members of the neighborhood, if they're finding that the road is impassable, to contact me. I'm available to them. A quick text message and I will have the issue alleviated immediately. And these are employees, so we would do consequence, like progressive disciplinary consequence if they're not upholding our standards. I don't know that that is happening until we get somewhere like this. And I'm grateful that the members of the Lawrence Ave neighborhood are here, because I think that they're also able to learn a little bit more about our program too, because there is a lot of mistruths in what there was, reporting. Just like the first person, we also, on September 12th, invested money into repaving portions of the road, all in front of our house and our neighbors. I have the True Blue paving came out. It was multiple $1,000s. They filled all of our potholes. I have photos of it. And in front of both of our neighbors' homes, it was the first round. It's a costly expense. We did our first round, and we plan to do a new portion every year because it is the neighborhood's responsibility to maintain the street. It's not taken care of by the city or the county. So we've already started on that. I can't go any faster, but that first section was completed September 12th. We have never been a nonprofit organization. We've never been. We do have a foundation, and our foundation has not even opened yet, but it is in Sunbiz, and we do intend to work towards victim services. So people who have been victims of sexual abuse, whether it's people that we are in relationship with or not, as far as in our group homes, we do intend to do victim services with licensed clinicians so that they're also getting the healing too, because they are the victim of some sort of sexual abuse. So that is why that foundation was created, but we have nothing has taken off with it yet. We hope to, though. And I don't know what is being talked about as it pertains to like the colleges studying our kids. We were reached out to by some of the larger Florida colleges about social work graduates and working towards their clinical licensure, and they have to get so many hours under a supervised clinician, but they're registered interns, and we can employ them because we have licensed clinical social workers that work amongst our homes, and they're able to supervise them as they're going for their licensure. So that's the only involvement we have with the colleges. I'm not sure about the studying. That's not anything I know of. We are not a DJJ program. We do not serve children who, we're not governed by DJJ in any way. We are licensed by the Department of Children and Families. I know that there was a comment about the census because it's low, there's been no problems lately. The license allows 10. We have had 9 kids in that home. It's still there. There's 9 kids in that home, and the license allows for 10. The problem that we don't have 10 is because sometimes children are required to have single rooms based on their case plans. We can't control that. So there's 9 kids. There's been 9 kids. That hasn't changed. And you have seen the calls drastically decrease, and there hasn't been a change in the census. There is a lot of questions surrounding our at-risk license. At-risk is just a Department of Children and Families type of license, and with each license requires different requirements. At-risk requires a higher level of supervision. It requires just additional guidance and oversight by the department, and there's additional requirements that are put in place by the local CBCs, the child caring agents, like the case management teams, where they have to oversee further, scrutiny. I can tell you the DCF requirement is that there's 6 youth to 1 staff. Can I finish? Because
I'll give you as much time as possible.
okay, I'll be quick. I've only got a couple more.
Go crazy with it, so.
No. DCF requires you have 1 staff per 6 children. We have 1 staff for every 4 children. DCF requires that you have 1 awake overnight staff per 12 kids in a home. We have 2, and that's only for 9 kids. Always, there's 2. It's a requirement. DCF does not require that we call the police when a child runs away. A lot of homes allow unsupervised community involvement for children. We don't. We don't serve child sexual offenders. We do not serve sex offenders. That's a big misconception from Lawrence Avenue. And the last, I want to just tell you, our involvement.
I'll just make a comment, though, that although DCF may allow it, the conditions of approval, at least for Lawrenceville or Lawrence Road.
Within 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've had a ton of police involvement because of that. And it's not within 30 minutes of a child running away. It's within us losing line of sight and sound. We are a line of sight and sound. We chase after the kids. We go out. We're searching for them. We're looking for them. We're diligent about it. We have staff that get hurt. We have workman's comp claims because of injury, because they are out searching for these kids. So, yes, I hear what you're saying, but we go. We don't just let them run away and not follow them. Now, if they jump out of their bedroom window at 2 o'clock in the morning and we find them during their bed check, which is every 15 minutes, they might have had a few minutes leeway on us, and then we're calling non-emergency immediately. I will say we have 6 homes. The only home that we have neighborhood disgruntlement is with Wesley Chapel. We were talking about having neighborhood connections. We have a home in Brooksville, and the gentleman next door, his wife passed away. We have our kids walk his dog. They raise his flag and lower his flag every morning in the way the military does it, because he's a retired veteran, but he's grieving, but he still wants that done. We keep his yard. We've helped him repair his fence. We bring him meals. Christmas time, he came and celebrated with us. He buys presents for the kids. We give him gifts. Our property in Lutz, which is Hillsborough County, same situation. We have excellent relationships with those neighbors. Our Seminole group home, the same way. And I know that there's one person here from the actual community of Bear Creek, but I have all of the screenshots from the Facebook group from Bear Creek talking about how they are so happy these kids are happy, how they are smiling, how they are like so grateful for them to be out in the neighborhood and be safe, and how they're kind and they say hello. We don't have that opportunity in Wesley Chapel because we don't have the opportunity. We're turned away from, we're shied away from, they're scared of us, and it's a misconception that we would love to break. We would love them to know us. I understand these police records and these arguments that they're saying. As soon as those have happened, that child could have been with us, or it could have been at the next door neighbor's house as a regular community youth. We discharge them immediately. We do not serve kids with violent criminal histories. We don't. And that is why you see the police going down, because as soon as there's something that happens, we discharge those kids. We do not serve them. I don't really have a lot more that I can say other than I think that there is a big misconception of what is happening at the Wesley Chapel Group Home. We've had this argument since the very first day when our other owner was in here with me when we were doing the exemption. And the relationship has never gotten better, except for with our next door neighbor, Sergio. He's fantastic. He works with us. He buys our kids gifts. He takes them out on boat charters. He's a fantastic man. And he has not sold yet.
Excuse me, just a minute. Listen, I want to tell everybody that's in the audience. I made sure that nobody interrupted you when you were speaking. If you're going to be here, you're going to be courteous both ways, coming and going. That's the way it works here. If you can't be that way, then you're going to have to leave. So let's continue.
I'm not going to speak, I'm almost done. I'm not going to speak on his reasons for selling, but we are very much in the loop because he has communicated it with us, with his wife and everything that's going on with his family. He has asked us for different things to do for his property as his direct neighbor. Our maintenance man, for no benefit to us, is out working with him to make sure his property is level in one area because he's older and he wants to have it done before the selling of the home. The only good neighborhood relationship we have is right next door, and he is selling for personal reasons not related to Elevated.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
I don't know, are you done?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so, one of the stated allegations is that you're violating the condition dealing with the creation of the advisory body and having a member of the neighborhood within 2,500 feet on the advisory body. I didn't hear any response to that.
Oh, sorry, I do have a note there. Captain Sergio Etanis is on our advisory board. We have a meeting every year. He lives directly next door. And with him leaving,
Only once a year?
We only have to have minutes once a year. We can meet every 6 months if we choose to. However, we talk to Captain Sergio all the time. I mean, not in a public setting or in a meeting, but he speaks with our attorney. They were just texting this morning because we have a contractor coming out to help him level his ground. So we're in constant communication.
But he's now left?
No, he hasn't left us yet.
He's leaving.
He's just listed his house for sale.
Okay, but he still resides there now?
Yes.
And then it says, and a member of the county's Community Services Department or Commission on Human Trafficking. Who's that person?
I don't know her name. I'm not on the advisory board. I'm on the board of directors, so I would need to look into it. But it's the same person that we've had since the get-go. We do all of our meetings with her. They do all of their meetings with her. But I could ask John Linton. He's our attorney, and he would be able to tell me.
You do have a member, which is it? Is it somebody from the Community Services Department?
No, Human Trafficking Coalition. And we are trying to have Christine Garrison join our advisory board as well, who is Human Services Administrator from Pasco County Sheriff's, because we would like her insight on the development of our program.
Okay, and then the other statement that was made is that the children in your facility do not have disabilities. I didn't hear any response to that.
Mental health and trauma are disabilities classified under the ADA. All of our children have diagnoses of mental health disorders, every single one of them. It's no different than cancer, like multiple things that are qualified as ADA disabilities.
So, I guess let's get to to me, the part of this that is probably the most troubling, which is the allegation about children leaving the facility. Because I remember when this got approved, there was a lot of discussion about this would be 24/7 supervision. Clearly, the representation was that it would be rare that children would be leaving the facility unsupervised, and yes, there was a provision that you'd call the sheriff if that happened, but it seemed like that would be the exception rather than the rule. Why are the children leaving the facility? I mean, unsupervised. I mean, I guess that.
How is that being allowed to happen?
I mean, why is that occurring?
We don't have any elopements that are occurring outside of like when they go to bed and they're jumping out their windows. They're not eloping in the middle of the day. They're eloping at night thinking they can get away, get back to their families, get back to whoever it is that they're trying to gain access to. They're not running away just in broad daylight and running down the street, and we're not following them.
So what measures have you taken to reduce that overnight elopement that has been occurring?
We have bedroom alarms in every door. We have window alarms on every window. We have audio-only baby monitors approved through Department of Children and Families so that we can hear if a child were to be getting out of bed in between bed checks. We have documented every 15 minutes or more on record of the staff going in and putting eyes on their kids. If we have a child who is at risk, meaning like a more critical or acute in their behavior at that time, the therapist puts them on a higher risk level, and then there's a one-to-one staff assigned to them. But if a child, I know the situation that she was referring to where they were at their door at 4:15 in the morning. That earlier that day, the child went to court. He found out that his parents were being TPR'd, which is a termination of parental rights. So that there was no hope for that child to ever return home to his mom and dad. And that night, he was saying that he was sad, grieving, wanting to go to bed, and he ran away in the middle of the night. During that time, we were out searching for him. We called the law enforcement officers, which they were responding to our call, which is why they were driving by, because officers aren't really just driving by in that area. But there are so many things that happen that cause these children it's heartbreaking, the things that they go through.
Well, I understand, but you also have to have a facility that operates in a manner to try to reduce that as much as possible. How many of these measures have been implemented recently? So
None. We've had these in place probably. I mean, we did just get the door alarms approved because that is a restriction. So we have to have everything approved. The door alarms were only approved probably within the last quarter.
So the window alarms had previously been approved?
Yes, but the problem is that the children are able to like turn them. They can disarm them. So as we have kids who are disarming alarms, then we're mounting them outside.
Okay.
They're savvy. They're street smart kids.
I guess what I'm getting at is some of these issues, like for instance, Mr. Tidwell's break-in occurred after you've implemented some of these measures. So I'm just trying to figure out how some of these elopements have occurred despite the measures that you.
The elopement that he's referring to, that actually happened the night before, and the children were hiding, and then they went to his house, which was all blocked off still from the hurricanes, and broken at 9 a.m. Both of those kids were removed.
What happened is irrelevant.
Yeah.
The fact that they eloped is the issue. So.
We are not allowed, so I have been working with DCF because I'm trying to get the fire doors in. We are not allowed to have fire doors. Fire doors, if you're familiar, are a delayed egress, so that if a child's trying to elope, it won't allow them to, and it sounds an alarm through the house for 10 seconds, and then it opens. They will not allow that because of it's too restrictive. You have to be a psychiatric inpatient facility to be able to have that type of restriction.
Understand.
So you mentioned that you don't have this issue in your other facilities. Do you have this many elopements in your other facilities?
Or do you have the same kind of patients?
So
all of the kids are the same. This age group is particularly difficult at this home.
I'm just trying to figure out, why do you have so many elopements at this facility versus your other facilities?
But if you look month over month, sir, you would see that there was a period where there was these elopements, and that child was removed, and now the elopements and the problems have drastically decreased. We've only had, I believe, 2 calls of service in the month of December.
So the issues that most of the neighborhood's speaking about is related mostly to one child?
I can tell you there was 2 children, and neither of them are there anymore. Yes.
You said you had 5 bedrooms?
At the Bear Creek Group home, yes.
So a house built with 5 bedrooms?
Yes.
In 1989?
I don't know. I don't know when.
A square foot house in 1989 was built with 5 bedrooms?
Well, we didn't build any walls.
5 bedrooms.
We didn't build any walls.
You
So whatever was there was when we bought it. We've only been operating at the Bear Creek Group Home. We just had our relicensure in August, so just over a year.
When did you buy the home?
Probably March of the previous year. The licensing process takes some time.
Did someone do a permit check to see if those bedrooms were legally permitted?
I mean, it was all done through the county. I had to do all of our zoning and everything through the county.
Well, I'm not asking about the zoning. I'm asking, did someone do a building permit check to see if the improvements to that house were legally permitted?
I don't,
Should have been discussed at closing.
yeah, it would have, we didn't have any outstanding liens or any documents outstanding when we purchased it. Nothing has been built or changed since we've owned the home. The fire sprinkler system was already all installed. Everything was already there when we purchased
Fire
it.
sprinkler system was installed. What was the house before your occupancy?
It was a group home.
I see.
And from the reports that I'm reading from the Facebook post, it was not very well taken care of, and there was a lot of problems there. And I think that is why the neighborhood is posting about how they are grateful for the kids being there and how happy they are and that they're kind, and all good reports about the staff as well.
None of them showed up to testify today.
Mm-mm. No. But I mean, I have the screenshots of the posts.
I understand.
So the other thing you didn't respond to was the discussion about the trash, and that was at the Bear Creek facility. There was somebody that complained about your trash.
Yeah, I don't know about the trash. We have not received any complaints. We have trash pickup with 2 cans twice a week. I don't know of any complaints there. I don't know of any outstanding circumstances where trash has been all over, except for today. And if that's the case, then that's the first I'm hearing of the trash issue.
Well, look, I mean, I think there's a lot of problems here that have been brought to the surface. And I certainly, for one, don't think this demonstrates the ability to expand a program that has been having this many problems. So I don't think you've earned the right to expand to 10 people. That's my personal opinion, and that's how I'm going to vote. So I would like to hear a motion. I think we've heard everybody speak.
Oh, can I ask Mr. Daniels to come back up for a second?
Yeah, I was going to do the same.
Mr. Daniels?
So in our agenda memorandum, there's a list of calls for service from Sheriff's Department to the Wesley Chapel facility and to this facility. But what's not in our agenda is calls to adjacent properties like Mr. Tidwell. Do you have any information on how many like surrounding properties have called with complaints related to this facility?
And especially in regards to the time frame around that. So if there was a particular spike in it, for instance, after this approval was granted.
Yes, sir. So while we were here, I took 2 actions. So I tried to look up as many addresses as I could find myself. So I can tell you that 26414 Lawrence Ave, we did receive a call for service on 8/14/25 regarding a report that 2 nights earlier, a 15 to 18-year-old male had showed up at the door, rang the doorbell asking if he had Snapchat, and then fled from the residence. That was reported to us, like I said, 2 nights delayed. I also asked our team to draw a box kind of around the neighborhood, specifically in the Lawrence Ave area. And they found 3 additional calls for service, 7/17/2025, which was a disturbance juvenile delayed, Quail Hollow Boulevard and Green Willow Run. Juveniles eloped from location 1 were located by PSO at that intersection. 10/16/23 was a Bakerat juvenile, was a resident of location 1 and went to the home to get help, not aggressively, and that homeowner at that location on Pleasant Run called us. And then on 8/6/23, Bakerat at that same address is 10/16/2023. juvenile was a resident of location 1, which is the Lawrence Avenue address, and advised that he wanted to kill himself and had run to that residence. I can also tell you, the request that I had received was for calls for service for 8/1/24 through 8/1/25. I also did run a year-to-date report. 1/12/2026, we had the battery of a staff member, which I had spoke about earlier. 12/29/25, Baker Act. 12/13/25, CPI, DCF CPI requested a deputy's assistance. 11/5/25 was a Baker Act. 10/25/25, there was a juvenile disturbance that led to a Baker Act. 9/12/2025, there was a suicide attempt. And then I can tell you, as the applicant noted, there was an increase. So 10/5, 10/13, 10/17, 10/19, 10/22, and 10/26, we had reports of runaways that were all related to the same 2 individuals.
Okay.
Yeah, and I didn't catch, I apologize, I didn't catch any additional addresses. But if there are any other addresses you'd like me to look at, happy to do that as well.
That's perfect.
I think we got a picture.
Did we have anyone from code enforcement?
Yeah, I wanted to ask code enforcement a question too. Who do we have from county code enforcement here?
You are not on mute. You're elevated. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Planning Commission. This is Dave Ramika with Pasco County Code Compliance. I'm the field training officer for the east side of the county.
Okay.
So, Dave, you heard some of the testimony today about the alleged violations of the conditions at on Lawrence Avenue. Have you all investigated any of those violations? And if so, what is the status of that investigation?
So I looked up case history for that location. I was the first one to go out there. And we had a couple of them were for what they've been saying about parking in the grass or the right of way. And another one was a duplicate call, and one was for trash and junk. The is when the officers went out there, and it was me or Tyler who they were talking about before. There was no active violation when we went out there. I went out there for reported of someone parked in the grass right away. We take pictures. We do all that. We close it out. I heard the statement about that they have a picture of Tyler in the background, and then in the background of that, the violations. What they didn't say is that he was next door taking care of another violation, and was going to the group home next. And before he got over to the group home, they did move the cars. And so that makes it, we have to see the violation and we have to document the violation. And that case was also closed out as no violation because there wasn't one when we got there. But our history, from what I can find, nothing prior to August of last year. And there's only been 3 calls since there. Tyler went out the other day for trash and junk. He picked up a couple napkins and a straw and threw it away for him, and that's all he found. Now there is, a little bit of a delay for us to getting out there because of other calls and that, but the delays were no longer than a week.
Okay, so the only complaints you've received are related to parking and trash. Have you not received any complaints related to unsupervised children in the neighborhood?
No, not that I can find in the system prior to me going out there. There's nothing inside of the Acela that says that.
There was also a statement made that you were unaware of the conditions of approval related to the Lawrence Avenue facility. Is that true?
No, we have it documented. Tyler is new to that zone, and he was going out there to that group home. But even from what I read, really a lot of their conditional uses are the land development code itself. So the complaints that we have gotten are the basic land development code violations that we deal with every day.
Well, it's not really accurate. There are very specific conditions. I'm asking whether you have a copy of
Yes, sir, I do.
the approval,
Yes.
the one that was approved in 2022, and it's got conditions about it's got to be minors, and it can't be more than a certain number. It's got certain types of residents, and they have to be supervised 24/7. Those kinds of conditions. Those are not land development code, typical land development code conditions.
No, my statement is that the ones that we've gone out there that have been called in have been typical land development code violations.
Okay.
We have not received anything outside of that. Yes, we do have a copy of the document that you're referring to, and the problem with accessing it was the way it was labeled inside of one of the cases, and that has been corrected.
Okay, but if you received a complaint related to these conditions, you would investigate it and take action if necessary?
Yes.
But you haven't received a complaint to date, other than parking and trash?
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, sir. That's correct.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions, concerns? Hear a motion?
I move to recommend denial of the request, and looking at the conditional use attachment, that would be based on item number 1, and I would specifically cite flu 1.10.1D under compatibility review. I would also cite number 2, that the conditional use will adversely affect or contribute to the deterioration of the quality of life of property values in the immediate neighborhood. 3, the proposed conditional use is not consistent with the character of the surrounding area, including existing land use patterns. 4, as testimony has been given here today, the proposed conditional use will create excessive parking congestion or otherwise affect public safety, will adversely affect the health, safety, or welfare of the surrounding community or area.
I'll second it, and I would add 6 to that list as well. This is going to give the same reasons for denial on this. And as much as it pains me to do it for this facility, because I benefited like Pastor Jen for my older son going through a group home, I just don't think this is the right location for increasing the density of occupants at this house.
So we're in discussion now, correct? No.
Yeah, so we have a first motion and a second. Any further discussion?
So, yeah, I just, for the record, I have to echo what Chris said. There is a tremendous need for these types of homes. I've been very heavily involved in fundraising and charitable work to try to build these types of places. Applied for grants to help people in human trafficking. Human trafficking is a terrible thing, and it's a tremendous problem in Florida, and a tremendous problem in the United States. The United States is #1 consumer of human trafficking, so I'll put that out there. There's a tremendous need for it. And I've also seen where these group homes can be okay and run well. And if they're run well, they can be suitable in some of these neighborhoods. That being said, given the history, and I appreciate everyone from the east side of the county driving out to the west side to talk about what was going on over there on Lawrence. I just can't see how that they have demonstrated it being able to be run appropriately, at least not enough for this moment. Now, maybe in the future, after we get a better track record showing them being good neighbors, and we can reevaluate it, they can potentially apply for this again. But as of now, I just don't see enough evidence to justify expanding their existing operation. You know, they'll still be able to continue it under the Florida statutes for up to 6, but until we can see a better documented how they run this this business and how they run this group home, I'm not very good with moving forward with this. So that's just my comment.
Jamie, no,
We're
already had
we're
your turn.
We're never going to be able to move forward if they only are going to.
Excuse me, we can't speak from the audience. I gave you lots of time, extra time, and I tried to be fair with everybody. Now it's our time.
Well, to be clear, you're allowed to comment when this goes to the board. This is a recommending body on this
Right,
item.
correct.
You can make whatever comments you want to make to the Board of County Commissioners.
No, I mean,
Jamie.
I echo what was already said. I mean, obviously, there's a need. This isn't the right place, and I personally have concerns with the existing facility at Lawrence, and I ask myself, why would I want to approve another site like that moving in? I mean, I'd like to talk about it. I mean,
Expanding.
later after this motion, I mean, I don't know. Well, I guess we already talked about revocation of, and I guess there's not really a code compliance issue, and then that's maybe another issue, so I'll stop talking, but that's my position.
Well, I think you need to take action on this
Yeah,
application.
take action on this item first, and then I'll bring it
Well,
back up.
I'm with you, Jamie. This just is not
It's just,
the appropriate location, and although the statutes may allow them to operate in a residential neighborhood, I will be sure to contact all of my state legislators to work my butt off to have that law changed.
Yeah, again, there's a tremendous need for it, but they've got to be in the appropriate location, you know. And as Pastor Jen said, you know, a rural location probably fits
Right.
better, where you don't have a house 10 feet away for people to elope to. It's a lot harder to elope when you're on 100 acres, so.
Chris, you've already spoken. Chris?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, and I don't think I vote on this one, so.
All right. And I can say that I speak from a wealth of experience. I have 3 of my own biological children, but I've also adopted 4 children of need. And I know how difficult those kids can be. And I know how hard it is to guide them, teach them, and bring them into a position where they're productive members of society. In the meantime, you know, these residents live in terror, and I think they have every right to feel that way. And I can't, in good conscience, vote to expand the facility. And I do agree with my colleagues here, several of my colleagues here, that really these residential locations really aren't the right spot for these types of facilities. You need to be in some kind of a professional location or semi-private location or even a commercial location.
Well, you know, at the
Fully
end of the day,
developed.
Mr. Gray,
Huh?
this is a for-profit operation.
Right.
Since when do we allow for-profit operations in people's residential neighborhoods? We don't. We wouldn't let a doctor's office move in the residential neighborhood. We wouldn't let a lawyer move in a residential neighborhood.
So, you know, I think we're all compassionate people, but we all speak from experience, and
Yeah.
I can tell you that
My wife worked for YF.
I certainly speak from experience. So
She worked at the Rap House.
I can't, and in good conscience, vote to approve it. So we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor of declining the application, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign? Okay. Request is declined. Okay, thank you. So we're making a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners that we don't think it's appropriate. And so you might want to attend the next Board of County Commissioner meeting. So they're the final decision-making body.
well, we're,
No, we don't want to see that.
Well,
But
I will remind all of you, and the petitioner especially, since you're going to come back for another hearing, taunting the residents and acting uncivil in this forum is not going to help your case. I'm telling you that this is a place where you need to remain civil.
You have to show that you're a good neighbor.
very good.
I would suggest that you all just peacefully leave the room, or the officer will probably escort you out. Oh, I get it.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Okay,
Should we
everybody.
adjourn?
Everybody.
That concludes our agenda for
motion to
today,
adjourn?
Mr. Chair.
Wait.
Real quick before we do that, though,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jamie.
I mean, I don't have a copy of the Lawrence approval, but what is the revocation procedure? How does that?
Should we wait for them to clear out so we can have? a
Yeah,
discussion
I think that'd be good.
We need to ask him to clear out.
Please take your conversations outside.
By the way, I forgot to introduce, we have a law clerk with us for the summer, Ben Shalala, who's in the audience, so.
Oh.
Hey, Ben.
Hey, Ben.
Welcome.
Last law clerk
This is a
got to
great
sit
first
here.
meeting for you.
He didn't want to
We'll
sit
bring a
up here
chair
with
for
us,
you next
so-
time.
But hopefully we're all in good behavior today while we have our law clerk.
Yeah.
I thought we usually make them sing, you know.
That's the second meeting.
You're gonna have to sing us out when we close the meeting.
I do have a copy of the approval, and we can take enforcement action, but this is why I asked the question of our code enforcement officer, what complaints have we had? You can't take enforcement action unless there's a demonstrated violation of the conditions of approval. I have not heard so far. We have some complaints. The complaints have been limited to parking and trash. We've investigated those complaints related to parking and trash and not found a violation. Now, I'm not disputing the neighbors. There may in fact be violations out there of those conditions and or others, but we have to prove them up before we can take any enforcement action. Enforcement action, revocation is just one of many forms of enforcement. There's
Due process.
I mean, we can cite them, bring them to court, we can cite them for violation of the conditions, we can bring an injunction. I mean, there's many things we can do, but all that starts with actually finding a violation. And to date, our code enforcement department has not found a violation of our conditions of approval.
So question, Dave.
And the problem is that a lot of these neighbors have experienced things, but until recently, and there was one gentleman, Mr. Castro, that said he reported them, but he's the only one, apparently, that actually reported this to code enforcement, and that was apparently very recently. So,
In any alleged violations, I will remind the citizens that they can, at any time, contact code enforcement regarding any alleged violations of the conditions of approval. And
David, because a question, and John might have had the same question with this too, but as far as the elopements and students leaving campus and the like, there's a condition in here of approval with that. I mean, that's not necessarily going to come to code enforcement, though. That's going to be a police. And we do a documented record.
Our code enforcement can investigate that condition as well.
But that call wouldn't necessarily come to them. That's my
correct,
point.
but they can investigate it with the
They
sheriff's
can
office.
investigate whether they made those calls.
If there is that connection that's made, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, they can investigate whether they made that call within 30 minutes.
Okay.
David.
Yes.
At the risk of sounding overly critical of staff or the county attorney's office, one of the things I found disturbing in the
Everyone, if you can,
testimony
please hold it down,
was the condition about the board member. There needed to be a board member that lived within 2,500 feet. And then what we find out is, well, the board met once a year.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure that that was the intent of that condition, that, well, we'll just have some,
Whenever we feel
resident
like
that
it.
shows up once a year for a 5-minute meeting, it's recorded and we've satisfied the condition. I think that condition, if that's going to happen in future applications, needs to be,
At least quarterly, I would think.
yeah, there needs to be more frequent meetings and discussion about the operation.
And if there's more issues, they're more often
Where the,
needed.
where the local resident can participate in that decision-making process.
Well, I think the intent also was that the resident would try to represent the interests of the neighborhood and express any resident concerns to the facility, and apparently that's not occurring. So, but I don't disagree with you that it's probably not consistent with the intent, but I'm not sure that it violates the strict language of the condition. The issue of the...
What I'm suggesting is that we should
The
make
language
the
needs to be
condition,
changed,
you need to have more frequent meetings.
I don't disagree with you, but that condition is what it is.
Well,
For the future.
in the
For
future.
the future, but the future would have been the one today, but you denied it. So,
Well,
I'm
they
saying
still
if there
get
was
their-
a,
they
if there
still
was,
get their day before the board.
yeah, I'm just, yes, I
But
agree
that's
with you.
something for
If there
staff
was
to
a-
kind of keep in mind, that might be something to look at, as well as how that person is nominated. It should be a
Correct.
vote by everyone in the neighborhood as opposed to someone that the facility cherry picks to
Right.
be on that board.
So the person is representing the community.
Truly represented by the community.
Correct.
David, I know you're in the middle. of
Maybe they should be
saying something.
appointed by the Board of Commissioners to be on that board, no different than anybody here is appointed by the Board
possible.
of Commissioners.
John, I just want to make sure David finishes his
So,
thought.
so what I heard from the neighbors is the most disturbing issue is the fact that they're leaving apparently unsupervised, and that the allegation is they're not making calls to the sheriff when they're leaving unsupervised. That, as far as I can tell, that complaint has never made it to our code enforcement department. So that complaint has never made it to our code enforcement department. It's in our conditions of approval. If you please, I'm talking, okay? I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to the planning commission. So if you cannot speak out, I'd appreciate it. That complaint has never made it to our code enforcement department, and that's who the complaint needs to go to for them to investigate. You heard a code enforcement officer say the only complaints he's received are related to trash and parking.
So
Hopefully
Can
everyone's
they-
taking note.
can code enforcement request that information from the Sheriff's Department?
Code
And
enforcement.
the Sheriff's Department provide it to code enforcement?
Yes, they can request information from each other, yes.
Okay, well, then I would ask that the code enforcement division speak with the Sheriff's Department.
Well, I mean,
Okay, but again, our code enforcement department is complaint-driven. Okay, so they're gonna need to receive a complaint, and Mr. Castro apparently has started this process. So I commend him because of all the people that spoke today, he's the only one that said that he actually attempted to file a complaint on this issue. So thank you,
Well,
Mr. Castro.
In the residents' defense, they may not have
Okay,
understood
but
that's
I'm
what they
just
needed
saying
to do, but
that a lot of them expressed concerns, but he's the only one that went that extra step to actually attempt to file a complaint with code enforcement. I didn't realize he didn't get very far with it, but that's what needs to happen if you want something to happen with the Lawrence Avenue facility.
well, and not to get into a lot of detail here about code enforcement, but I mean, does code enforcement physically have to see the vehicle parked in the grass or in the street? Is a picture not valid proof that they were violating that condition? I mean, that's a question.
I mean, I don't know if
for code
code, I,
enforcement.
we
Yeah.
can
Good legal
get
question.
code enforcement- I don't know if
That's
he's still
right.
listening, but
So-
it may be.
I mean, there was just all kinds. I mean, the disrespect of the staff when people try to talk to them. I mean, the testimony that was given, they're disrespectful of the people that asked them not to park on the grass. I mean, there was just a lot of things. I mean,
yeah, just not being a good neighbor.
not one to come back in and ask for another site.
Or
Yeah.
additional capacity.
Yeah, so anyway, I think for those of you who took the time to be here, I think you've gotten what you asked for. And now you need to take it to the next step, go to the county commission meeting, make sure you follow through on it. But if you want to do something to try to get rid of the facility, I think that our county attorney has made it clear that you have to have substantial competent evidence, and it has to be of record. So you can't just call the sheriff's department and hope that it's gonna get to code enforcement. You know, there's a procedure you have to follow. And if you don't follow it, You can't blame us. You can't blame somebody on staff here. You know, it's gonna have to be driven by your own neighbors and residences. So now you know how to do it and what to do. I suggest you meet privately together and figure out what's your next plan of action.
Yep. Once code enforcement receives that, they have to investigate it. So they'll have to see it through.
You have to get a copy of the complaint that you filed and the report from the sheriff's office and take it to code enforcement.
Correct.
So they have a record of it.
The sheriff's office.
If you don't want to do that, then that's on you. And I'm going to quit talking to you as an audience because we're not supposed to do that. You know, we're not taking testimony, and I don't want to hear any more conversation about it. I think we've just told you exactly what needs to be done, and I think we've given you a fair chance to express your concerns, and now it's up to you. So, okay. Any other questions up here? If not, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. This is
Okay.
a unanimous second.
That's right, everybody seconds it.